Okay, so the jig is in place. Terrible picture. Let's see if we can do better. All right, there it is going down under the oil pump. And the lighting's terrible here. So I get my light cutter. There's the jig. Going down under the oil pump with that end that was fastened to the piece of copper with the silicone on it right there. Now what we did was the original jig was too short, so we taped it onto a piece of copper pipe wire. What do you call it? Brake line. Call me an idiot, I just figured this out. And first loosely attached it. Once we got it up in place, up into the hole, I held it up into the hole, and Josh loosely taped it to one of the tubes coming off of the ABS pump. And then I held it in place real good while he attached it up there to the strut for the hood. Now then I went and tried to hold it as best in place as I could, and then we taped this piece down here to give it some upward tension and taped it onto this strap over top of the alternator. That was just enough to hold it up in the hole, and then we had to put a finger. Oh, by the way, we took out the towel, the rag, because with that well fastened the way I did, the bolt to the copper tube, you're not losing the bolt. If you did it right and you've got it in there and siliconed and under the washer, you're not going to lose that down in the pan. The fear was losing the wrench down in the pan, so we made it a lifeline. Here, hold this, or put light on this. This wrench with the little tiny head, it doesn't ratchet, but it's tiny and it gets in there good. We did a forged in fire, put it in the vise, and bent it as close to the end as possible, which is really difficult because when it's in the vise wants to suck all the heat out and not be able to get real close to get it hot there. But you got to hold it with something. Maybe vice grips wouldn't be so bad of a heat sink, but as close as you can get that bend without getting this ring too hot and distorting the shape or whatever of that, and it won't fit in the nut or the bolt anymore. If you want to put a second bend in there, you can, but just one bend was enough for us, and then we taped on a lifeline to it in case that fell in the pan. We could pull it out. Once I got it up in there a little ways, where's that other wrench? There it is. We were able to use this one. This is brand new. Got it off of Amazon. Let me see what brand it is. It's the brand that's under the tape. It was one of the cheaper ones, but wasn't the cheapest one. But the good thing about it is that's stiff. I don't know if they're all like that because I've never owned these. I don't know if that's because it's brand new or if these start to get floppy after an amount of time. If you got a floppy one already, if you put some duct tape around here or drip something down in there, wax, I don't know, hot melt glue, something that'll keep that from flopping down, it'll help you out. But once we got it up in far enough, this big head was able to fit in there and was able to get going. And then once the bolt gets up a little further, you're able to flatten out and just go like crazy. And once you hit the top and it starts to get a little snug, then back it out a little bit because you got to still pull the jig off of the bolt. which Josh is going to do now. That way, if he snaps the bolt or breaks the jig off inside the motor, I can blame Josh, which is one of my favorite pastimes. It keeps me happy. Boy, this is some good tape, huh? You need some... Let me pause that.
No.
Let me see the end. Yep, Josh ripped the jig out. So, while we're getting the tape off, Josh is good about getting ahead of stuff, but there's the jig. It nicely separated at the end and came off. Did you have to yank it out, or did it just fall off? Just fell off with him taking the tape off, so it wasn't hard to get off at all. Which you might want to know that you don't want to jerk around on it too much before you get the threads started up in there. But you really just need this to put it in place to where the bolt goes, so that you can get your finger up under it and shove it upwards into the thread hole. Don't cross thread it. Yeah, not the butthole.
Not the stank tape.
Let's see. Now there is the other bolt to contend with, which Josh is right now sawing my fender in half with his knife. That may just go fine with the cloth down and, you know, finagling it. But if we're having trouble, we're gonna yoke up that other bolt and do it the same way. Peace out.